Sam. This is my son Reese. He wasn't meant to be in the video, but nap time didn't work out. All right. Okay. Hi. Reese had to go sit in his chair right next to me. He was a little fussy.
So, diabetes and pregnancy. Either maybe you're type 1 diabetic, you know someone type 1 diabetic, type 2 diabetic, maybe you just got diagnosed with gestational diabetes. It's definitely a very sucky thing to deal with. You're trying to grow a baby and it's just total added stress and it sucks.
Okay, hi. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit about my pregnancy, and 4 things that really helped me to have a good pregnancy with type 1 diabetes. My name is Sam, SweetSamanthaaa with 3 A's at the end on Instagram. I posted on my story that I was going to try and make a little video about my pregnancy, just so all this information that I usually am just typing to people in my DMs can all be in one place. I asked if you guys had any questions, so I'm going to try and hit all those topics. I'm 26. I have been diabetic for 16 years. I was diagnosed at 9, and I have a son named Reese. He's 5.5 months, and I had a really good pregnancy. So my number 1 tip for having a positive, good pregnancy with type 1 diabetes is, if possible, if you can, which I know it's not always possible. Unfortunately, insurance companies like to make this item a luxury, but get a CGM. If you can get a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor that's gonna test your blood sugar every 5 minutes. If it's a Dexcom, it's gonna alert you. So during pregnancy, you want your blood sugar to be 70 to 120, which is insane, but it's totally possible. Most of the time, you know, you're gonna have spikes, you're gonna have lows, and that's okay. But if most of the time you're in between 70 and 120, you're in a really good spot to have a healthy little baby. I had mine alert me at 120. If I hit 120, I would give myself insulin and then I wouldn't have a big spike. And that was super helpful. And it was also helpful for me to watch to see what it was doing. If I just looked at it throughout the day and saw that I was 110 and going up a little bit, I could give myself a little bit of insulin and keep it pretty steady throughout the day. So it definitely was game-changing for me. If you have a CGM, you know how amazing it is, and you're gonna kind of just really work with your CGM more than anyone else. My endocrinologist, my OB, my maternal fetal medicine doctor, none of them were really as helpful as my Dexcom. Number 2, the most important thing for me was support. I'm still in a few Facebook groups. One is, I think it's type 1 diabetes and pregnancy. That was like my number 1 when I was pregnant. Number 1. I was always on that group. I was always asking questions. I was always reading everyone else's posts. It's just so nice to see people that are going through the same things as you. And honestly, I got better tips there than I did from my doctors, honestly. So I really recommend that. On Instagram, searching for people, because being pregnant can be an isolating thing. And then being pregnant with a disease that makes pregnancy very stressful, you're gonna want people in your corner that know what you're going through, that can just be, it's like, you know, solidarity. You just feel like you're not alone. You know, that's probably why, if you're not someone that already knows about me and saw this video through like my Instagram or something, you're probably searching for other people that know what you're going through online right now. And that's probably how you found this video. And hi, I hope that I'm making you feel a little bit better. Yeah, it's great to see the people that things go well for, because we're told so many times that, oh, diabetes and pregnancy, your baby's gonna be huge, your baby's gonna have heart problems, and you know, I promise you it can go well. So support, super important. Number 3 was exercise. If I was having high blood sugar. It was the only thing that would get my blood sugar to go down. So in the beginning of my pregnancy, I was having a lot of low blood sugars because I believe it's because the placenta is growing, I think. It's been a while. So I had a lot of low blood sugars for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then, which was helpful because I had to eat all the time because it's the only thing that made morning sickness a little better. I had a lot of low blood sugars. Second trimester, I think they were pretty normal. And then third trimester, I was having a lot of resistance. I wasn't having a lot of highs because I was really on top of them, but I really needed to make sure that I was exercising. I was walking every day, you know, like they say to do during pregnancy. It's good for all of us, blah, blah, blah. But for your blood sugar control, anytime I would see on my graph that my blood sugar was starting to go up, I gave insulin, started chugging water, and me and my fiance would go for a walk. We'd head outside, go for a walk. The bigger I got, the less time we needed to walk for, because I think I was just working out so much carrying all that. I can't even tell you how many times at like 2, 3 in the morning we were outside just walking in the middle of the night just because my blood sugar was not cooperating and we needed it to go down. But those are the things you need to do, you know? I was pretty active just on a day-to-day basis up until I was around 18 weeks. At 18 weeks, I had to go on a leave because I worked in an ICU near New York City and COVID hit. So I decided to take a leave, stay home, safer for me and the baby. So at that point, I really needed to focus on going for walks, doing pregnancy exercise videos, and as active as I could get. I was doing squats, doing everything I could to just keep myself going so that the resistance didn't hit as hard. Number 4, which these are probably on equal playing fields, all of these as important, but pre-bolusing is something that's definitely changed my diabetes care so much. Pre-bolusing. Right now, when I'm not pregnant, I usually pre-bolus like 10 to 15 minutes before I'm gonna eat something. I'll give myself my insulin. 10 to 15 minutes later, I'll start eating. So the insulin starts working, the food's going in, boom, stable blood sugars. If I give myself insulin right before I'm gonna eat, the food starts spiking me. By the time the insulin starts working, it's like, so I'll get like a spike and then drop. And you want to stay pretty stable for your own health and especially the baby when you're pregnant, because it's not about you anymore, right? So that's something that's super important to me. In the beginning, when I was having a lot of lows first trimester, I had to pre-bolus like not even 5 minutes. Sometimes I didn't pre-bolus at all. That's how many lows I was getting. Second trimester, it was like probably 10 minutes, 15, like normal. Third trimester, when resistance hit, I believe the placenta's like shooting out sugar. This is when a lot of people are getting gestational diabetes. That's really the crunch time of pregnancy that things are difficult. You're also big and uncomfortable. That's everyone's least favorite time, I feel like. So third trimester, I had to pre-bolus like 45 minutes to an hour before eating. So that was insane. But that's what would keep me from spiking, and that's what would keep my blood sugar around like 80. And that's what kept my A1C at 4.6 throughout pregnancy. And that's really, really correlated with having a healthy baby. Definitely pre-bolus. Try it out for yourself. Maybe 15 minutes is too long for you. If you're not already pre-bolusing, I would do maybe a few minutes. Just build it up until you notice you're not getting a spike anymore. But I'm not a doctor, so don't listen to any advice I have. Go ask your doctor. So those are my 4 things that I really recommend you doing. Comment any questions you have or anything that works for you. Those are some things that really, really helped me get through pregnancy. And I know next time, now that I know, your first pregnancy is just scary in general, but now that I know that things can go well and it is possible to have a positive pregnancy with diabetes, I'm hopefully going to be a lot less stressed out next time. I think that our doctors are told all these things, you know, they have to warn us. But I think that they expect a big baby with when you have diabetes. They expect all these complications. And now that we have CGMs and all these things to make it possible for us to have pretty regular blood sugar control, we're not always going to have those outcomes. So if you put your all into having good blood sugar controls, just remember it's the same diabetes that you've always had. It's not turning into a super disease. Yeah, you'll hit resistance, but you're gonna be able to do it. You're gonna be able to deal with it. There's times where towards the end that I would usually give myself 3 units for something, and pre-bolus 15 minutes. End of pregnancy, I'm giving myself 15 units for something and pre-bolusing an hour. It's crazy, but it built its way up to that. So it wasn't like one day, you know? It's not gonna be that bad. Things can work out fine. Maybe I'll make a video about labor, right? During labor, it was very important, and the days before, to keep very stable blood sugars. I was staying around like 80 for the few days before, and during labor, I was around like 70 to 100 during labor, so that when he was born, I wanted to make sure that he didn't have low blood sugars. Because if I had a high blood sugar, his little pancreas made a bunch of insulin to deal with my high blood sugar, and then he's out of me. He's cut off that sugar supply. Now he's gonna plummet and have low blood sugars. So making sure your blood sugars are very stable around birth is very important. And thankfully, my baby wasn't born with low blood sugars. That was great. I ended up needing a C-section because I have a very small pelvis, which we learned after 20 hours of labor. But it was okay. It wasn't too bad. He's healthy. That's all that matters. I was healthy. Everything ended up being perfect. So yes, those are some of my tips for a positive, healthy diabetic pregnancy. Just do the best you can. Spikes are going to happen. Lows are going to happen. It's diabetes. It's still going to be diabetes. But keep yourself actively trying and just give it your all every day, and it's not forever. Because right now, my blood sugar is 135, which would be atrocious during pregnancy, but right now I'm like, it's okay. One person did ask me if I would be able to do this without an insulin pump and a CGM. So there was a few, in the beginning of my pregnancy, I was on injections, and I switched to an insulin pump because I wanted to make those little doses to keep my blood sugar so controlled. You can do that with shots. You're just gonna need more shots, which a lot of people do, and that's the importance of the support groups, because I saw so many people that did it like that and everything was fine. One thing that I think is more important is to have a CGM. I just think it's so valuable. Like, what really helped me was I would see my blood sugars like 80 or 90, whatever. And I would give myself insulin. I'm waiting 45 minutes. I start to see it drop. That's when I eat. Now that would plummet me, wouldn't be a good thing. But at the end of pregnancy, when I had resistance, that's how I was doing it, and that's what was working. So the CGM is just very valuable for information like that, or for lows in the beginning and, you know, random spikes from hormones. But if you just test your blood sugar a lot, if you're able to get a prescription for a lot of strips, it's totally possible. And I wouldn't not do it because you can't get this technology. You can do it. I did it. There were plenty of days that my Dexcom either was like wonky, it failed at work or something. I just checked manually. I just pricked my fingers a lot more that day, and nothing crazy. I stuck to a pretty good routine, so the adjustments were, you know, every few weeks, oh, I need more insulin. Okay, a few more weeks, more insulin. You know, towards the end, it was kind of weekly. I was making a lot of adjustments, but most of pregnancy, I was cool. Hello. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit. Of clips here. So sorry, this is completely not the same environment. And it's a little loud out here. So I got a message. I think this is the only thing I didn't answer out of my DMs during the video. Reese! I ended up having a C-section and everything went well. I controlled my blood sugars myself during birth. I kept my pump and my CGM on. I told them I was going to. They kind of gave me a hard time and I signed off on it. I told them I'm not going to do, like, I don't want to do the sugar or glucose insulin drip at all. So I did it like that. And I ended up needing a C-section after labor. No issues with healing. Everything went well. I think the biggest thing is just having stable blood sugars, because if we have stable blood sugars, we're really the same as everyone else. And I think that's pretty evident in my experience and so many people I know. Aim for that. Okay, so here we are. Now we're eating. At the end of pregnancy, at my specific practice, at 32 weeks, you started going twice a week to get NSTs, like stress tests and sonograms. So I did that. I went twice a week towards the end, which would be really inconvenient if I was going to work, but most luckily, not so luckily. Oh, excuse you. I was like quarantining because of COVID. So, and because I was doing so many appointments towards the end, I was allowed to deliver at 39 weeks in one day, where some practices make you deliver, they induce at 37 weeks. There's like a few tips here and there that I know I'm forgetting. Like for me, when I would wake up in the morning, I would give myself towards the end like a unit, but maybe like half a unit or 0.2 of a unit throughout when I would wake up in the morning, because just stepping on the ground in the morning gives me a little spike, and normally it doesn't matter, but during pregnancy it matters. I would give myself a little bit of insulin right as I was about to step out of bed, before I ate or anything, just to prevent that spike. Little things like that you definitely come to learn about yourself, and that's why Dexcom is so important, because I was able to see those little spikes, you know? Yes. All right, back to the video. All right, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. Bye-bye.